Hello class, this is your teacher Mr. McDougall with your next project tutorial. We are continuing our unit on photography. We've discussed the exposure triangle, and now we're going to get started with one of our first Adobe program apps called Adobe Bridge. So this is a very simple assignment and I'll explain it as we go, but first let's download our exercise files. So you can see I've given you a slideshow to complete your work and some exercise files to download. As always, your exercise files for you will probably be over here on this top right side. You'll see it, it'll say your name exercise files. And I will walk you through downloading again. I'm not going to spend every single tutorial walking you through downloading. I'll just do it for the next few lessons because it does take a long time and it will start to get tedious after a while, but I will do it for these first few lessons in case you forgot. But after a few lessons, I'm going to stop going over the downloading process and just assume that you know how to do it by now. So let's do it one more time. Click on the exercise files. You will see this. It'll say adobebridge.zip. You can't download anything from this first page, so this is always how you're going to download it. First, you have to go to these three dots over here where it says More Actions. Click on that, and then click Open a New Window. When you do that, it will open to a similar page, except now it's in your Google Drive and you have more options. Now you'll see this download button right here. So now you can click the download button, and it will download to your computer as a zip file. You see the little download icon right here. It says adobebridge.zip. So if we go to our file explorer now and we go to our downloads, I can see it's this one right here. Remember, the zip folder is this one with the zipper. It's super obvious right there. We can't do anything with the zipper file still as is, so we have to extract them first. If I try to open this in Adobe Bridge, it will not work. Nothing will happen. So first, you need to right click on it with your middle finger and then go to Extract All. Make sure this box is not checked right here. Make sure it's turned off and then click Extract. It will show you now a second file with the exact same name, except this one doesn't have a zipper. This is the one where our files are right here. So I can see that's what our files are. So this one now we're going to move, oh, sorry, it moved right here. This one, Exercise Files Adobe Bridge. This one is we're going to move into a new project folder. So as always, let's create our project folder for this project. Let's open a second File Explorer window by right-clicking down here. So if you right-click, it will bring up another menu, and we can do File Explorer to bring up a second menu. You need to have two windows right here open of these File Explorers. You need two open so you can drag files back and forth. So this is my Downloads one, and this one I'm going to set to be my Intro to Graphics folder. So that's in my Google Drive, in the My Drive, and in Intro to Graphics. Here's all the projects we've made so far. Every time we have a project, we make a project folder just to keep those files organized. Otherwise, this project folder would be full of all the files we're going to do in the course, and that's going to get really confusing. So let's make a new folder, new, and then folder. And this one is Adobe Bridge, and it's also 305 if you want to add the number. Call it at least Adobe Bridge so you know this is where your files are. And let's take this folder of the exercise files and drag it in there. Drag it and put it right in this folder right here. So now if I click on it, here's my exercise files with the pictures. Once you've transferred it, typically I remind you to delete this from your downloads folder. However, just for the sake of making sure Google Drive is synced, leave it in your downloads folder for now in case we need to find it as a backup. Because we're going to open Adobe Bridge and use Google Drive, but often I found that sometimes the Google Drive gets out of sync, and if that's the case, we'll just keep this as a backup. So leave it in your downloads folder for now, and then now we can get started on Adobe Bridge. So let's open Adobe Bridge, which is this BR one that we pinned to our taskbar at the very beginning of class. If you were not here when we pinned it or you don't have it down here, you're going to come over and go to your apps, click on the Windows, go to the All Apps, and it should be near the very top since it's Adobe Bridge right here. Right click on it and go to More and make sure it's pinned to your taskbar. That means it'll be down here already and it'll live down there. Okay, so let's click on it to open it. This is a very easy software to get started with. It's not an editing software in any way. You can't edit. It only is used to view files on our computer and view the data within those files, which is exactly what we're going to do for today's project. So whatever you open it to the home page, it most likely will be on your desktop right here. It might be in any of the others. It doesn't really matter which one it is because we're going to go to the one that says This PC. So again, these are all your file locations. This whole program is just so you can view certain files on your computer. So your username, your documents, your desktop. Click on the one that says this PC, and you should see the Google Drive option somewhere here because we synced our Google Drive to our computers back at the beginning of class. If you do not see it here or it doesn't work for whatever reason on your computer, please let me know and I will help you. And if it doesn't work here, then you can find it on your downloads. So downloads, that's why we left it here, because you could find your exercise files here. But only do this if your Google Drive is not there. Otherwise, I want you to use the ones from your Google Drive. So go to the Google Drive and My Drive. And let's find our project files. Here's Adobe Bridge right here. And here's all 10 exercise files. You can view them however you like. If you want to increase the thumbnail size, you can come down here to this slider. See how if I drag it to the left, it makes it smaller. If I drag it to the right, it makes it bigger. So it doesn't matter. You can change the view however you want. I'll leave it like that so I can see all 10 of them. So let's go over the assignment. If I go back to Chrome and to Classroom, I can see the assignment. So now click on this one that says classwork slideshow. As always, first thing, put your name and period at the beginning on slide number 1. And this is what we're going to do right now. You're just going to use Adobe Bridge to tell me the exposure settings of all these example shots right here. We've been practicing the exposure triangle for the past few lessons. And what comes up a lot is when you take the photo, once you put it in your computer and you look at it on your computer, it's hard to tell what your settings were because the computer itself doesn't tell you, like what was my shutter speed or what was my aperture at. This is where Bridge comes in. Bridge will tell you that information. So if you see right here, you open Bridge like you did, find the selected file, and then you're going to check the Metadata tab to determine the 3 components of exposure. You're going to tell me the aperture, the ISO, and the shutter speed, which are all found right here. So for example, let's go to this first one with Samurai Spider. Oh, and I already have them right here. So let me just go over that real quick. There we go. All right, so what you're going to do to tell me is go to Bridge and simply click on the photo, and it will pop up over here on your right side. And this is the little metadata tab right here that I'm talking about. And all that information is already right here. Super easy peasy. Here is your aperture, the f-stop, which is 2.8. Here is your ISO, which is 160. And here is your shutter speed. Remember, the shutter speed is the fraction number, 1/400th of a second. So I'm just going to enter that information up here. So as you just saw, the aperture is that f-stop number, which is 2.8. The ISO said it was 160. And the shutter said it was 1/400th of a second, which is the fraction button. Again, look right here. I even reminded you what they are. The aperture is the f number. Look for the f number. That's the f-stop. That's the focus. The ISO is the most obvious one. It even says ISO right there. And the shutter is this fraction number right here in this top right corner. Do not get these mixed up. I've gone over this 100 times. If you put them in the wrong spot, if you switch aperture and shutter, you will not get full credit for putting them incorrectly. So make sure you use the right ones. So same thing for the next one. Let's go to this one with the grandpa and his kid. And again, right here, f-stop aperture is also 2.8. The ISO is 320, and the shutter speed is 1/320th of a second. So super easy. Again, you could tell all the different settings I needed. The whole point of this is to see how your exposure settings have to adapt depending on your lighting conditions. So all of these are exposed correctly, but I had to change my settings. This was taken during the day. This was also taken during the day. This one was taken at night, so I had to deal with less lighting and using a flash. This one was on a cloudy day, and I wanted more in focus, so there's a lot I had to adapt to there. This one was taken inside with not enough lighting, so you can see my ISO is really high on this one. Same with this one, taken at night. My ISO is really high, and I have a slow shutter, trying to compensate for the elements, whether it was a moving object like this skateboarder, so my shutter speed had to be faster, or this softball pitcher, again, my shutter speed had to be faster. So you can just see how you have to adapt as a photographer. And this is what you're going to be doing for the rest of this unit, is manually controlling all 3 of these shutter, or all 3 of these exposure options in your photos. Okay, so that's it. That's the entire assignment. I just need you to go through each picture. There's 10 examples. Tell me the exposure settings correctly for all 10 of them in order to get full credit. And again, make sure you put the right ones. This is the f-stop, this is the fraction number, and this is the one that just says ISO. Once you've completed all 10 of the slides, then you can come over here to the assignment and click that big turn in button, and you'll be all set. Okay? Have fun. and ask me if you need any help, and I'll see you on the next one.